Greatest question. Harley, who do you consider to be a great heel and why? Give me an example of an exemplary heel in wrestling and tell me why they were exemplary of being a heel.
Well, again, it's anybody that can go in that ring and take the person that they're in there with, and I'm sure Bruno will agree with this, that back during our era, except for him, the heel in the picture was the guy that led the direction of it. And there's a lot of people that can follow. And during our era, there was quite a few that could lead. And the ability to take anybody, and when I say anybody, I virtually mean that, for a period in time, I could take you in the ring or you and make it look like we were having a hell of a wrestling match.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much what it's all about, right?
Yeah, really. But you're talking about the villain, but then there's just different kinds of villains. Take a, besides, let's leave Arnie aside, because we want to talk about others rather. Mm-hmm. Take a guy like Ray Stevens. Yeah. To me, Ray Stevens was a great villain. He was a great villain. I thought he had good ring psychology. He had the moves that he could really get to the fans, and yet, and then you had the opposite, Killer Kowalski, for example.
Yeah.
It's two completely different styles, and yet powerful. Kowalski. There was something about Kowalski that when you wrestled Kowalski, he was constant, nonstop. And he would come after your leg or something. Next time, maybe be after your arm and shoulder. But he was Kowalski, but yet you can't say that every time you saw him, you saw the same thing. Absolutely not. Believe me, I know I wrestled this guy many times. And so yeah, these different kind of guys. But of course, I agree with what Harley says about what makes him great is how he's able to control things too.
All right, Bruno, I'm going to start with you with the exact same question on the babyface side. Give me an exemplary babyface and why.
Stand up, Bruno.
Boy, see, some of these questions, I kid you not, they're hard to answer because I have seen guys, babyfaces used to name, that I personally thought were terrific, really terrific. And yet, for some reason, they just could never make it to that headline and stay there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Again, okay, in my own case, and I've gotten criticized for this, and maybe justifiably so, I don't know. But I always tried to wrestle, because I had to appear in the same clubs month after month and year after year for many years, like especially Northeast. I used to, if I met a Bruiser Brody, I felt the best match I could have with him was a brawling match. I wrestled Ray Stevens in New York, and we did a lot of good stuff. Hans Mortier, the European, he's just wrestling. It was almost like an amateur match. I went an hour, 18 minutes with Pedro Morales in Shea Stadium, and it was strictly a great babyface match. You know what I mean? It's hard to understand, at least for me. Maybe to some other people it's very simple. It's hard for me to understand from my part as to, like I say, what makes one over the other. Because I've seen, like I said, what I call some great technicians that, in all honesty, they were given the opportunity but didn't make it. So I don't know. I don't know the answer.
What do you think, Harley? Who would you consider a great babyface worker? And why?
God, there's a ton of them that just, when you say that, pop right out at you in different ears. Even Vern Gagne, during his heyday, was as good as they got.
Pat O'Connor.
Pat O'Connor was absolutely excellent.
Did you know Jim Haley?
Yes, I did.
He was tremendous.
There's so many
Yeah.
during, I want to say the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, and even into the 80s, that it'd be for me, it would be virtually impossible to pick one and say this is the guy.
So what are some of the, well, let's just say qualities then, the big baby face quality? Was it appearance? Was it
Well, it's all of the above. It's a guy that can go in the ring and get out of the people the sympathy that he really wants to pull out. And it's between you and whoever your partner is to get that. And if you can look at Jack Briscoe. Jack Briscoe was a classic babyface, and when they made him world's champion, it was kind of like a bad fighting good, but it never came across as Jack as a pure, to me, one of the most pure baby faces there ever was. Overall, if you're trying to, pinpoint it down to who was the better of it, I can't really tell you.
no? Not just an example. That's fine. Harley, we'll start with you. Harder to be a successful baby face or a successful heel?
A successful babyface, because you got back during our years, mostly the guy that people didn't like was the guy that was leading what was going on in the ring. To me, I couldn't have been that person because I wasn't really a listener.
Bruno, what do you think? Harder for a baby face or a heel?
I'd have to say it would be harder for a baby face. The reason why I say that is that a villain, if he's talented, he can go in there and be brutal to where the people want to shoot him. They want to hang him. They want to kill him. A baby face has to play. It's harder to maintain that role, to keep the sympathy of the people and not lose it by overdoing this or overselling whatever. I don't know. I think it might be a little. I think it's a little more difficult. I'm talking about to stay for longevity,
Gotcha.
longevity wise. I've seen baby faces. I'm not going to match this guy because I like him and I think he's a good guy, but he was good. He was very good in the Northeast. But he was so talented, and he did very well in the beginning. But then the clubs just started going and going. He couldn't maintain them. Could not maintain them.
To be that baby face, you have to be that not only in the ring, you got to be it in public, you got to be it in bars, wherever you go, you got to be that person that they're seeing on TV, and that is damn difficult to do.
Well, but also conversely, though, it's not fun probably getting batteries thrown at you from the upper deck, or people taking swings at you with a blade on the way back to the locker room. I mean, being the heel outside the ring wasn't fun either, probably.
You're creating all those problems for yourself. You need, in my position, I took it to a level. I've had my car burnt, a gallon of gas so in the back seat and torched. I've been stabbed. So to me, it's that part you can kind of physically handle it, but the other way around, being Mr. Nice Guy all the time, to me would be half again as tough.
Harley, what does paying your dues mean to you?
I don't know if we've ever stopped, have we? Paying your dues is, I guess, just being around the business and involved with the business to where the older generation's looking at you and you're acceptable. That's about as far as I can take it. I don't know about you, Bill.
Well, I think paying your dues, yeah, I agree with that. But also, it's that you're a beginner, let's say, and it sometimes takes years before you get a break, if ever you get a break. And in the meantime, maybe you have a family, and you're out there every night traveling because you can't afford to fly or this and that. So you're sharing a car, driving. I remember when I first started, we used to go Bangor, Maine, or Caribou, Maine. Then we drive to Washington, D.C. the next day. And I'm sure Harley can tell you that from those territories out there where you're in a car for 12, 13, 14 hours and making very little money. The payoffs, because you were preliminary, were very low and small, and you're trying to exist with. You couldn't go in a restaurant and order what you wanted. You couldn't stay in a very nice hotel, and if you had a wife and a kid or two at home, you had to send the bulk of that little bit that you made to them. I would call that really paying your dues.
Are ribs and initiations a necessary tradition or unprofessional practice, Bruno?
Well, I can take a good rib and have a good laugh if it's done in good taste, or maybe even play a joke on somebody, harmless. But I don't think there really is too much in that. It breaks the monotony sometimes because of everything we go through. But I've seen things where things were carried too far. Give you an example. We had a fellow one time who had asthma real bad, and while he was in the ring, somebody took the medication out and put gasoline stuff in there. And when the guy comes out of the ring, gasping, he shoots that stuff in there. I mean, it could kill you. I remember.
Damn near dead.
Huh?
Damn near dead.
That was Johnny Valentine, right?
Well, yeah, but I'm saying those kind of things, and that's not the only one. There have been other instances. No, those to me, I think they're brutal. They're cruel, and there's no room for that.
I remember one day talking about the same individual, and we're not going to mention it. He tried to pull one, and I had just come from being stabbed in Minneapolis. And at that point, I had a gun on me at all times. So when this rib happened, and I turned and it was pointed right at his head, that whole thing went away real quickly.
But do you think there's kind of, from like a blowing off steam standpoint, a necessary place in the business for someone that, if it's in good-natured?
I'm sure there is. I've had several pulled on me, and I'm sure Bruno would agree he has also. But as long as it's done in a structure where it's not damaging to you or the business or your family or something like that, it's fine.
The $6